All right, so this puzzle, if 3 horses equals 30, a horse and 2 horseshoes, or 2 sets, equals 18, horseshoes and boots equal 2, boot, horse, horseshoe, what does this equal? So if you want to see that, this video should be uploaded by this afternoon. So if you're curious, try to solve that puzzle. It relates to unit rates. Sorry, today is not 9/29. I need to change that date for us. It is 10/6. So if you are watching the movie, that's actually our date. And I don't know what this second thing is doing here. We'll close that guy. We're doing unit rates today. Now we need to finish 1-1. So we are on this problem. We're going to make a 6-foot-long banner. I do have your tests. I'm going to hand them out here in just a bit. You make a 6-foot-long banner to hang on the desk at the animal shelter, and your friend makes a 6-yard-long banner to hang outside the building. Write the ratio of length of your banner to the length of your friend's banner as a fraction in simplest form. Well, it's just 6 to 6, right? They're the same thing. Ooh, Izzy, why are they not the same thing? Correct, but if we start with feet and then go to yards, we don't necessarily want to involve inches here. So, this is something that a lot of 7th graders struggle with. When converting units, it's easier to go from the big unit to the small unit. So, which here is my bigger unit? Is it? Yards is bigger. So we want to convert our 6 yards, so write 6 yards over here and put it over 1 just to make it a fraction. How do I convert yards to feet? How do I convert yards, Justin? Multiply by 3, right? So we want to get the, and I still haven't verified if this is true or not. I had a high school chemistry teacher who would call this stoichiometry. I have no idea if she made that up. But what she called stoichiometry was the string multiplication of fractions to get to the unit that you want. If we want our unit to be feet, that means I need to get rid of what unit? I need to get rid of yards, right? So to get rid of yards, should I put this yards on top or on bottom here in my conversion factor? Shane? On bottom. Why? Then they cancel each other out. So I've located where my units have to go. Then I insert the numerical values that will let me make this conversion. So how many feet? 3. How many yards? 1. These have to equal, because then we're technically multiplying by 1. We're not actually doing anything here. We're just changing what things look like. So we're not changing the length. We're just changing our unit. And this becomes 18 over 1, or just 18 feet. Any questions on how we did that conversion? Now you could have just straight multiplied by 3, but this will get harder as we go through the year. So that's why I want you to see the process involving the conversion factor. So now we have to actually set up the ratio, and we want to do your banner, which was 6 feet, to your friend's banner. So we're going to set up yours to your friend. And we set up 6 to 18, which I could also set up as 6 over 18 since they asked me to solve with a fraction. So then, can I do anything? Oh, can't slide that. Can I do anything with that fraction? Ooh.
Simplify it, like divide by 3.
Ooh, bigger.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, you divide by 6.
We can divide by 6 on top and bottom.
1/3.
And we get 1/3. Your banner is 1/3 the length of your friend's. Now, the other comparison we could have made is since they're both 6, feet are 1/3 of yards. So since these were both 6, you could have just said, oh, feet are 1/3 of yards, and then you're done. Questions on what we did here? Converting yards to feet, setting up the ratio, reducing the fraction. Everything else from 1-1 make pretty much good sense? Anyone think the homework was pretty easy? Like it flowed pretty well? One thing I forgot to mention in that video that I think I told most of us. In the problems that ask which one of these is a proportion is two equal fractions. It's just showing. So right here, two fractions that are equal, that's a proportion. So in case you were struggling on that problem, but a lot of you came to ask me if you were.
Just a really easy way that I did it was I just divided, like, if it was like the first number that you had to find the same number as, I
Yeah.
just divided it, and then I just divided all the other ones, and whichever decimal was the same.
Exactly. So if you had like 3/4 equal to, this is going to be weird. Actually, I don't want to make it that terrible. 9/12. We can do this division, 9 divided by 3, and see that this is going to be a times 3 to go this way, or divide by 3, depending on which direction. So because this is times 3, it is a proportion. If this was something like 11 and it's not times 3, it's not a proportion. Right, that's going back to proportions, the home, like, yeah. So now on the got it, sorry Xavier. Now on the got it, if a kitten, and I guess I was grabbing values that were actually in the question, so that was really confusing. So I apologize if you started writing this thinking that I was doing the problem. If a kitten weighs 12 ounces and a puppy weighs 3 pounds, do we have the same units? No. Which unit is smaller? Ounces, right? Ounces. Anyone know the conversion of how many ounces are in a pound?
16 ounces?
It is 16. So we want to take our pounds and convert it. So we start with our pounds, right? 3 pounds somewhere. Over 1. We're going to multiply by our conversion factor. Where does pounds belong in the conversion factor? Top or bottom? Bottom, so it cancels out, which means that ounces will be on top. By the way, this is weight ounces as opposed to fluid ounces for liquid would be abbreviated FLOZ. So we have 16 ounces in 1 pound. There are also 8 ounces in 1 cup. If that ever can win you a game. So 3 times 16? 3 times
48.
48. And since my denominator is 1, I could put it over 1, or I don't care. My pounds have canceled each other out, so you could show that if you want. So we know the dog, or the puppy, weighs 48 ounces. My puppy weighs over 48 pounds. So now we set up the ratio of the kitty to the puppy. So how should my ratio start? And since we want fraction, let's just go ahead and set it up as a fraction. How should that ratio start? I'm getting the same hands over and over, Justin.
Okay, so I would think that you would put the kitten's weight first.
Yeah.
Because it says first in the equation.
However it's read, that's how we do it. So what goes on top then?
We put 12 ounces.
Uh-huh.
Then we put the 48, but you reduce
Aha, what do we reduce by?
12.
Yeah, we can get this all the way down. Which actually, if we flip this around, we could actually make it into a unit rate, but we'll talk about that here in a second. And this becomes 1 over 4, because as Justin said, we just divided by 12 to reduce. So we can say the kitten's weight is 1/4 of the puppy's. Or if we were going to put them on a balance, we would need 4 kittens to equal 1 puppy. And I think that's about approximate for coolness factor. I think it takes about 4 kittens to be as cool as 1 puppy. Gene? Is what? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which would be a tougher conversion, right? Yeah, so it's always easier to go from big unit to small unit. So nickels to pennies is easier because there's 5 pennies in every nickel, right? And pennies to nickels is harder because that's like a 1/5 thing. So if you need help on that, come see me. Maybe I'll record a solution to that. We are going to skip the things at the bottom. Those were extra. We will come back to them if we have time. Extra practice for you if you feel like it there. So get out your 1-2 notes. which your kind peers have already passed out to you. No, I just said we're going to skip the bottom part. It's extra and we'll come back if we have time. It just makes me laugh when I just said something and people are like, wait, what? Who else needs one? You're right. Hey, what's kickoff? 5? Dude, last night it was 7, and that made my life super easy. I will be there, but I can't guarantee I'll be there for kickoff. Okay? Play well.
It's 5, right? It's not 5:30.
I'll check your schedule. I always check your schedule in the hallway, but I ask you guys to make sure that you know. And I could not believe that last night was 7. That was pretty insane. It got dark. The unit rate for something is actually something that you could impress your parents on. I have a challenge for you that could potentially make you money. So, I'm telling you guys, my goal is to make your life better and to make your life easier. Math is how we do this. So, you laugh, but I'm telling you, here's my proposal. Go shopping with your parents and offer them that you will do the math to save them money. But if you save them money, they have to give you the money that you saved them. And here's what I mean. If you go to Kroger, now don't quote me and then go check because it might have changed. But I think I was either Kroger or Walmart. I don't like Walmart that much, so I normally go to Kroger. So you're at the checkout line and you're like, oh man, I forgot, I'm thirsty. Look, nice cold Pepsi. In the cooler, 3 for $4. So get 3 bottles of this for $4. And a lot of times, if you only buy 1, you don't get that special price. But let's say that you do. So if you get 3 bottles for $4, that comes out. Anyone know what that price would be per bottle? Do you know, or do you have a question?
I think I know where you're going with
Yeah.
this. Are we talking about the rates? Because it might just be like a marketing thing saying, hey, you can get 3 of these, or you might just be getting a discount on it.
So yes, kind of. 3 20-ounce bottles, like the normal bottles you get in a vending machine or whatever. 3 20-ounce bottles for $4. That would be...
Isn't it like, I'm probably close, but like $1.20.
Ooh, close. $1.33
No.
for 20 ounces. Now hold up. $1.33 for 20 ounces. You could walk back through the store if you wanted to not go right past checkout. You could walk back through the store, go back to the 2 liters, and the 2 liters were on sale 4 for $5. If the 2 liters are 4 for $5, how much would that make each 2 liter? So if you're going to get 4 bottles for $5, you know you're going to pay that dollar. What is it? It's not $1.33. It's now it's $1.25. So wait, a 20-ounce bottle, 20 ounces, smaller than this, was $1.33. And a 2-liter bottle, 2 of these, was cheaper. You could get more than double, almost triple. Actually, I think it is more than triple. You could get more than triple the amount for a cheaper price. Yeah, the 2 liters. I'm telling you, go to the store and look at these things. In our Chapter 1 folder, I just wanted to show you guys so you can check it out. In Unit A, in Chapter 1, I've got pictures of different unit rates. And this is really interesting because this was from a gas station. So, crap, it's going to take me into the folder. If you look at that, well, it's fine. If you look at that folder, at that picture, it says you can get 2 bottles for $3.33, 3 bottles for $4, or 4 bottles for $5. The price literally changes depending on how many you buy. So there is no standard price. It's based on how many you buy here. So I kind of do the math about how much would each of those cost. If you bought 2 bottles, it'd be $1.67. If you bought 3, it'd be $1.44. If you bought 4 bottles, it'd be $1.20. So the more you buy, it gets cheaper. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes when you buy more, it gets like the price doesn't get better, it gets worse because they're out to trick you. They know that Americans think the more I buy, the cheaper it is, like the cheaper each one is. So now they've started to turn the tables on you and play tricks on people. Kroger, unfortunately, doesn't have you do the math. They literally have the unit price on the price tag. So if you look at the price tag off to the left, it will tell you the unit price per ounce or per cookie or per whatever. It tells you what each individual quantity costs, because a unit rate, to bring us back to our notes, is the rate for 1 unit, that's where unit comes from, of a given quantity. So miles per hour is 1 hour. Students per class would be 1 class. Chocolate chips per cookie would be 1 cookie. So 1 has to be my denominator. And per, just like of meant multiplication, per indicates division. Per indicates division for us. I would notate that. Many of you have taken to bringing highlighters to class. If you have not yet, I still advise that you should bring highlighters to class. Highlighting things makes it pop off the page at you. It makes it easier to remember. So let's say that I'm traveling, and actually my brother and sister-in-law, or my sister and brother-in-law, just got evacuated from South Carolina. There's a huge hurricane coming if you haven't watched the news. Yeah, so they just drove all the way yesterday, through the day, up to Ohio. One giant thing we care about when we drive is miles per gallon. Now, we used to make fun of them for this, but they used to, when they lived in Maine, they had a Prius. Why do you think when they lived in Maine, literally a 15-hour drive away, did they own a Prius? Why do you think that, Hayden? You ever seen a Prius commercial? You ever? See, hold on. Do you know what why? Shh. They're small.
They do not have gallons, but they don't take.
Ah, so their gas tank is not that big, but it's because their miles per gallon is so high. One of the most talked about things in car commercials is miles per gallon. What car commercials barely ever talk about miles per gallon, though? Say it louder. Any truck. Compare commercials. Now start watching TV analytically. Compare truck commercials to car commercials. Truck commercials almost never talk about miles per gallon. They talk about how much they can tow, how much they can haul, how tough they are, how powerful they are.
How much gallons of gas can you put in?
Here's the thing, though. The lower your miles per gallon, the more expensive it is to drive. Yeah, so when you think about how much it will cost me to own my car, first car I ever had was a Honda Civic. It got about 30 miles to the gallon. Then, so I was getting 30 miles to the gallon. Then I switched, because I got dogs, I needed a bigger vehicle. I bought a Jeep Cherokee. Nice, 1997, four-wheel drive, great off-road. It got about 15 miles to the gallon. So I literally doubled how much I had to pay for gas. Like how much gas I needed. I then used twice as much gas as I had been before.
Do you still have that car?
No, now I have a RAV4 that gets approximately like 20-ish miles to the gallon, which is pretty good. Like 20, 22. Yeah. I was unloading stuff. Oh yeah, you left to go to work. I was unloading gear. So, how we calculate unit rates. We look at what do I want the one of. So here, I'm told we travel 120 miles on 4 gallons of gas. I want to know what is my miles per gallon. So guys, the word after the per is what has to be the one. So when I set up 120 over 4, I asked myself, how do I turn the 4 into a 1? Well, I just divide by itself. So on top, I divide by the 4, and I get my unit rate of 30 miles per 1 gallon. Any questions on that? Questions? Really, all we do is do the division. So this whole like reducing the fraction, yeah, that's also what we're doing, but we can really just do the division. And if we did 120 divided by 4, like in a calculator, it'd spit out 30. And then we could just say MPG. We don't need to put it over 1. We can just say 30 miles per gallon. Hayden? Huh? Sorry, say that again?
So if you want, so if it's 120 for 120 miles per gallon gasoline,
And then we just have to turn the 4 into a 1, so we divide by whatever the denominator is, we just divide by that. What I was trying to get you to say again is it's that easy, because I love when people say that. But remember, easy's relative, but yes, these skills should be easier than what we have been doing, because what we've been doing uses some of this knowledge. So our conversion from fraction to decimal to percent, all that stuff, that practice should help you with this. So if a lobster molts its shell, which is when they break out of the old shell and leave it behind and they grow into a new one, 20 times in 5 years, and yes, people do research on lobsters because we eat them. It is important to know the population and everything. Figure out on your own times per year. Question is? Sweet, yeah, you can do this. Just gonna give a second for people to work. So Izzy, how do I turn my denominator into 1? Yeah. Yep. And then we can actually, and I should not have put times, because times is kind of like a bad label. Times of what? So really we should say 4 molts per year.
I didn't even have to do anything. I already knew it was
I know, some of these are really easy. But 219 heartbeats in, ooh, that reminds me. I forgot my heart pill. So, okay, have I talked about this in here so you guys know what's up? Anyone remember what it's called? Do you remember?
No. Well, I remember it's something. It's like an irregular heartbeat.
I'm a super.
Super hot
Do you
sit.
remember? Supraventricular tachycardia.
How do you think I'm gonna remember that?
Obviously, you don't care enough about me.
No, I care about you. It's just hard to say.
So, one big thing that we pay attention to, especially for our athletes, is what your heart rate is. There are zones. There's a ton of math involved with your heart. I know some of you guys are like, ah. There's a ton of math. You can actually look up a table of heart rate zones that change as your age changes. If Mr. Sherg and I go to work out, his heart rate zone for like his optimal fat burning zone will be different than mine because we have different ages. Then if Justin comes and joins our workout, his is going to be different than ours too because your guys' heart is smaller. It beats faster. A mouse, their heart beats an insane amount of times in a minute. An elephant, yeah, hummingbirds are really crazy. An elephant doesn't beat very much at all. So you can kind of see the differences between like slower animals and faster animals. So if you get told that your heart just beat 219 times in 3 minutes and you want to know the beats per minute, or the BPM, we want to set up beats per, that is also music. So your heart rate has a beats per minute and also music has a beats per minute. So the easiest BPM to find is approximately 120, which is known as the John Philip Sousa March, If you've ever heard the da 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 da, it's like a 4th of July sort of patriotic thing.
Oh,
That if you like sing that at its pace, that it sounds proper, that's 120 beats per minute, which is 2 beats per second, which is a really easy musical conversion. But if I set up my 219 over 3, all I have to do is do this division. Now we can break this up and make it easier. I see that calculator. 219 pretty hard. What if this was just 21 divided by 3? That'd be 7. So think of it as 210 divided by 3, which gives you 70. Then 9 divided by 3 gives me 3, and we get 73 beats per minute. Now, funny thing about beats per minute, when you listen to a song on the radio, they actually speed it up. And most of the times, you don't notice because you hear it on the radio so often, or like on internet radio or whatever. But if you listen to the actual song from the artist, it will be a little slower. Does anyone know why the radio would speed songs up? Anthony? No, not actually. Because when they get sent the song, they have every right to play it. Julie?
Is it because they don't want to have like the song playing for long, so people don't like leave, like stop listening?
If the song is at its normal speed, it will play for its normal time. If you speed it up, what happens to the time? It gets shorter. What can you do with that extra time? Andrew? You can put an ad and make money. That's why they speed up music on the radio. Yeah, the only way radio stations are in business is their advertisements. Sorry, we got to keep moving. Is it a question or a comment? Yeah, I figured. So, this is an example. Well, we talk all the time. That's why I figured we could talk later. This is an example of how we find the unit price. Now, this one does not divide as easy. So, this actually, let's say you go to the movies, you and 3 friends. Your parents are like, you guys can go. We don't care. We'll chill out here and eat popcorn. So, they buy your tickets, and there's 4 tickets total. They spend $25. So, if you want to find out how much they spent per ticket, divide by 4, we get $6.25 or $6.25 per ticket. So that's just an example of what we're actually doing here. I want you, and you can work in partners, figure out which shirt is the cheapest price per shirt. So you want to figure out right now the price per one shirt. Now, some people were confused. Can I have give me your eyeballs for a second? Some people in my other class were confused. They said, look, you only pay an extra, so when they got their unit rates, I think I can explain this confusion better in a minute. But when they got their unit rate, remember that unit rate, the thing you're about to calculate, is the price of a shirt. So even if the difference is only like 2 cents, that's 2 cents on every shirt that you buy. I used to print t-shirts in college. One of the many, many things that I know how to do because of my weird life, I know how to screen print t-shirts. So like this is a screen printed t-shirt. This ink was pushed through a screen, heated, and cured into the fabric. When we place orders like that, the prices come like this. But we don't order only 15. We probably order 100 or 200 or 1,000. So 3 cents difference per shirt is a big deal when you order 1,000 shirts. So try to figure out each of these price per shirt. Yes, you may use a calculator. I got a rack up here.
Get 107.
Got a rack right here. Okay, I'm just going to set these right here to make life easy. Yo.
My dad's parents last say is that they recently moved to Florida, but since they had the hurricane, they have to move to they have to go to my uncle's house until the hurricane.
Yeah, they just decided they would have had to drive like 5 hours to get to a hotel with any rooms, or they could drive 10 hours and come home.
Charles,
Because like Coshocton is home.
Yeah. Because we went to Hilton Head and it was like about 12 hours.
I am not gonna show the work for any of these except for the first one.
Oh wow, thanks.
So you need to show the work on your paper. I'm only gonna show the work for the first one. The rest of them, I'm just gonna write the price.
Well, don't write the price. I'm not looking, I don't want to know.
Yeah, don't look. Well, I'm not gonna put the other price. I'm just. Round to the nearest cent. So always with money, round to the decimal that is in the hundredths place. Yeah, round at the hundredths place for money. I was having a conversation at the pet store last night with the gentleman about how we need to get rid of the penny. It costs over 2 cents to make every penny.
Why?
Because what it's made out of, the metal is more expensive than a penny. Metal's expensive. Penny what? Yeah, when they had to change from copper because copper got really expensive. They used to make pennies out of copper.
They should make a 5 cents, 10 cents, and 15 cents.
So you're taking the price divided by the quantity. One of these should be terribly easy. Because when you divide by 10, you're really just moving a decimal. Give you about 30 more seconds. There's also a button on the back. I do not know what would have caused that, but like if we do 47.5 divided by 15, this is about to find out. All right, Abby, what'd you get for your price per shirt on the first one?
$3.50.
Can anyone verify that for me? $3.15.
I've been doing
Yes, do we agree? Michaela, what'd you get for your price per shirt on the second one? So, when we divide by 10, we really just shift the decimal to the left one place. And this becomes $2.99. Kylie, what about my third? If I do 27.20 divided by 8, what do you got, Miss Cannon? Well, can you do the division for me? You got a calculator, right? So that becomes $3.40. So we got to put it in financial form. And Maylee, final one. Anyone got a calculator close there? I see that you were going non-calculator. Julia?
You would do $39 divided by 12 and so equals 225.
What, 325?
Yeah. $3.
Which of these was the cheapest per shirt? Anthony?
Please pardon the interruption. Christopher Koppel, please come to the office. Christopher Koppel to the office, please.
So let's check this out. This is the price per shirt. Let's say that I wanted to order these shirts and somebody else who didn't care about the math wanted to order these shirts. What's the price difference per shirt? Anyway, CJ? 41 cents, right? If I have an order of 100 shirts, what's 41 cents times 100? It's $41. If I order this shirt instead of that shirt, I'm going to spend an extra $41. Think of what you could do with an extra $41. Now think about what if you ordered 1,000 shirts? That's an extra $410. So you gotta think about, where am I spending my money? Am I getting the best price possible? You guys, this is the difference between shopping at Kroger versus Walmart versus Giant Eagle. they all have their different prices. Try it on this one. Hey, hold up. And some of you might be like, I don't want to see any work. I just want to see answers. We want the unit price. So you're just doing price divided by quantity. Price divided by quantity. Anybody have any issues? Yeah, guys, once we get to the decimal work, totally use calculators. I really like fractions more than decimals. Because fractions are easier to do mental math with. So, if you want the unit price, we want the price per quantity. So we take the price and divide by the quantity. So just like maybe right here, we take the price divided by the quantity and then make it into 6.25. All of this is 396 divided by 2. So we need 396.
Please pardon the interruption. Angelina Hipsley to the office, please. Angelina Hipsley to the office. Thank you.
Divided by how many? 4. Now it's that unit. How we doing, guys? Oh my gosh. Texting them about math. 579-84233.
Oh, you're random stuff now. I'm like
I know which one's the cheapest.
Now, what will be my unit for all of these?
I know the first one.
Ooh, not ounces. You're close, Xavier. It involves dollars. So remember, it's a unit price. Shane? Yeah, so this is dollars or price per one fluid. Notice the FLOZ, or FLOZ. No, fluid ounce. So, Jack, do you have my first price here?
Yes, $1.98.
$1.98. Make sure you get your decimal point there. Lily, you got my next one?
$2.09.
$2.09. Bella? $1 and what? 78. And Jaheim? So which was our better buy here? How many ounces is the best buy, Izzy? The 8 ounces. So guys, the biggest was not the best price. This is that trapdoor I'm talking about. Because they know that you might just grab the biggest bottle because you're like, I need a lot of this. Actually, this one's cheapest per ounce. They actually have the unit prices on the price tags. So it makes life really easy for you. My calculators, before we leave, I need all 10. Before we leave, I need all